Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the JaeTae Show.
Season's greetings. Welcome to the JaeTae Show. We are so glad that you're here to Season's greetings and welcome to the JaeTae Show.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to the JaeTae Show.
We are so excited that we are even closer to episode 50. JaeTae, it really has been 50 weeks. We missed a couple of episodes, but just to know that we have come this far and in spite of have remained faithful to do this and to share, even when you look at YouTube at the videos, I don't really just look at it, but of course, once I'm uploading the next episode and the episodes of J Bass Today Show, you can't help but see the number of views that these shows are getting. And sometimes it just seems like you're spinning your wheels and you're wasting your time doing all of this. But I am so grateful that we don't see it that way, that we see the fact that just because it's out there, somebody could possibly end up tuning in and being blessed by the content that we provide.
I agree with that, definitely, too. I do look and see, though, daily if people have looked.
Uh-oh.
But that's because I'm on YouTube a lot. So it always is at the top of my whatever you want to call it when I click into YouTube to go to my music.
Oh, wow.
So I always can tell when people have viewed and when they haven't. But I mean, hey, yet we press.
Yet we press. And you know, I thank God that, oh yeah, you sure right, girl. You don't turn around. Y'all, we didn't turn our spotlights on so you can see us even clearer. But you know, it is a blessing to be able to have these conversations about life, but more importantly, to see and be able to see God in the midst of it. I'm thinking even now of saying that of Proverbs chapter 3, I believe. Yeah, verse 6. Hey, in all thy ways, acknowledge him. That is so important. Sometimes I believe I said this during the sermon I had to preach this past Sunday, or the message I had to give. And it is that we include God in some ways, some situations, some areas of our lives. But when you consider all, to me, that also causes you to examine what your life includes. You know, I'm thinking now, but even then, being in the club and some of the other places that I've been, that saints certainly would not have agreed with. And I was certainly there for carnal reasons. It was nothing spiritual about it. But even then, there were moments I find myself thinking of something pertaining to God just because it's in me. It wasn't as much or as deep as it is now, but it's something about acknowledging him in all of our ways. And so I think it's important today to go ahead and just share with you regarding our fundraisers. Currently, we still have the JBM Keys fundraiser. I was about to say J Bass Ministries, but JBM stands for J Bass Ministries. We shortened it, okay? And we've been at 44 keys I want to say for months now, because it is October and almost the end of it. And I know we didn't have any, probably a month in, did we have any in August besides you? Okay. So, and you may have done July, but anyhow, JaeTae, we were at 42 for quite some time, and JaeTae brought us up to 44, which is half of 88 keys. And so to sponsor a key is only $20. And often what I've been thinking is I'm sharing it, but I'm wondering if people are hearing and seeing, but not seeing and hearing. That, or they, you know, it is that those of you who see and hear, who actually do see and hear, and just don't care, or for whatever reason, haven't been led to support. And so this week, actually yesterday, leaving the studio, which we had an amazing session, and all we did was transport the organ I recorded yesterday during the day into the 5 song sessions that I needed to record organ for. And it just sounds so good. My gosh. And I know that it sounded so good without him putting plug-ins and all the other things that he does in the mixing, that he just really brings it to life. And so I am excited at the thought of how those organs will sound once Arquise puts his touch on each one. Oh my gosh. You know, I'm an organist, and there's just something when the sound is right. It really is. And of course, there's one thing when you play live, but then when you get in the studio and get those extra things, and it's not done too much, but it brings it to life. And I can't explain it, but if you've been in a studio, if you're an organist and you've been in the studio and you just love the organ too, you know what I'm talking about. And so I'm just, it's amazing that something like that would put such a smile on my face and just make me feel so blessed to have that sound in these tracks. And so we only did that. We had to do some other work to get them prepared to send them over. So that kind of took up our time, and that's all we did. But we also, since we still had time once we finished, just began to encourage each other. And one of the things that he said again to me, and this really stood out. He told me, and you know how we have people that we say brother or sister, you know what I'm talking about, JaeTae, and they're not necessarily our blood brother and sister, same mom and daddy, that kind of thing. You get what I'm saying? And he said, my brother passed away. And I said, oh man, you know, and that was pretty much the extent, because I try not to say the wrong thing when someone has someone close to pass away, because the truth is we never know the depth of that relationship. And we can have an entire JaeTae show conversation about that, about being close to someone and they pass, or someone even in your family that passes that you weren't close to, and it doesn't have the same effect. You're affected, but y'all didn't talk. Y'all didn't hardly see each other. So it doesn't hit you like somebody you saw every day and those kind of things. And so I don't think that he saw him every day, but he was raised with him. And it was probably 2 sessions later that he said it again, and he was said because he added, or maybe the next session that we had to make I had to make the arrangements, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, this can't just be somebody he met in the community that he calls brother. And I asked him, he said, no, this is my blood brother. And I just felt so bad because, that really made a difference. But what he said yesterday, that I mean, it hit home, because he said this before. He said that he finds himself singing my songs, or humming them, or pulling them up to listen. But he said, I believe when his brother passed, he knew exactly which song he needed to hear in that moment. Mm-hmm. And out of all the songs that he knows, even being a gospel rap artist himself, he was led to a J Bass original. Wow. The reason that makes me just feel so something is because I know how this music, and I've been saying this, I know how it blessed me before I even recorded the first CD project. Mm-hmm. And so when God let me know that's the reason you need to keep living, because I gave you something I want you to give to the earth. It has put a passion in me. And I was like, yes, God, I will share this music because it has blessed me. And so to hear him say that, he said, again, he said he's listened to the music many times before and just pulled it up. And, you think again, he could listen to so much music. As we were talking, I think even before he said that, we were talking about, he said something, I think just getting into the conversation, and just getting into the conversation, and him starting to say about listening to, it must have been how he said that. I said, you don't know how much this means to me because of the things that have been said. And I said, you know what? The truth is, I did pay to have volumes 2 through 6 mixed and mastered. I sat in on it. He just mixed and mastered. He didn't do any additional production. And of course, his mixing and mastering, his mixing wasn't, I guess, still to gospel standards. It was okay with me because I'm just thinking, I'm still on the kick of, as long as I can hear everything and we're getting this music done, because of course it had been taking so long to get things done. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to rush or overlook things, but I was okay with it. And as I told him that I had it mixed and mastered, I said, you know what? Us having this conversation reminds me that the gentleman who is a Caucasian gentleman who mixed and mastered volumes 2 through 6 said the same thing that you said. He told me that he doesn't listen to gospel music, but he kept finding himself going back and intentionally pulling up some of the songs that we were working on. And in that season, that encouraged me, and even repeating it and remembering it now and remembering it yesterday just speaks volumes. I said that I shouldn't have let discouragement set in 2017, and there was, but the other part of that was I determined, okay, I won't record another volume without help. Now I did a single, Greater, and we did the live recording of volume 7 in June of 2020 and the live recording of volume 8, 8 songs each in July of 2020. And of course, we've been working on volume 7 and getting those live songs put together. And of course, then we'll have to get started on volume 8. Mm-hmm. And what I realized last night, on the way home, I just messaged JaeTae. I was letting her know that we had such a blessed session. And I think there was something else out of that I'd gotten that I needed to tell her. And as I was Marco Poloing her, it came to mind, wait a minute. This is how many, I started thinking, how many songs do we actually have left? Mm-hmm. And I'd been kind of concerned about the amount left and the fact that we still have, or we only have 2 months and a week, and the intended release date is January the 1st. And so it just looked like with that amount of money needed, that we might not make that date, especially the fact that we have these fundraisers going on and very little support. And so I was thinking, after we mix and master the songs that are paid for, then let's just take a break for a minute and let me save up until I can pay for the rest. But as I continue to talk and kind of calculate and guesstimate, I realized we are at between $1,500 and $1,600 balance. And I know it's not going to be $1,600 because all of the songs won't be a certain price. And so that means we are much closer. I was thinking almost 3,000, over 3,000, almost 4,000. So that just spoke volumes to me of how God has made a way, and he has used the community to help with this, along with that JaeTae and I have done. So we are so close to getting this done is what I'm saying. So if you are led, please help us fill these JBM keys. It has been probably at least 5 months since this has been going on. And I know the church that I got the idea from, they completed theirs in a couple of weeks, maybe a month, if I'm not mistaken. And then my cousin in California saw the idea, and he and his church did it. He messaged me that he'd like to do it. I said, go ahead. And next thing I know, he's posting that they have filled their keys. And I'm like, okay, God, I am so grateful for them. And I'm just asking you to do it for me, because you know this is your, we know this is your music, and that I've been faithful with the money. I can speak boldly that I have been faithful with the money that has come in for these fundraisers to pay toward this. That's why we are at an 800 is the amount for the remaining live songs. That's I thought of that early. So, okay, that around $1,500 is the balance because we have been paying things off and working this down, imagining that there are so many songs and the fact that we had to do production on some of those songs, which was a couple of $100, a little more, I call a couple too, so it's a little more than $200 to produce the songs, and a couple of songs needed production. And so that was a significant amount. And then, of course, to pay for 4 songs to be mixed and mastered, that's $800, 8 live songs. So we have paid out quite a bit of money. And if you're on Facebook and you support and you let me know that you're on Facebook, especially we're not friends, I will add you to a group that I created entitled J Bass Ministries Angels, because to me, those who are supporting this are angels that God is using here in the earth to make this possible. And so that's one fundraiser. And then we just kicked off this week the 50-50 fundraiser. Hey, and we've done 2 of those before. The first one was absolutely the best. But if we fill the rest of those keys, that will get us over half of the remaining balance. And if we do right with the 50-50 fundraiser, at least another half of the balance can be knocked off. And then I should be able to prayerfully go ahead and knock out the rest. It may cost me something, but between November and the beginning of December, I believe I can do that, and so I'm just asking for your support. JaeTae, you have anything on all that has been said regarding that? Because I know you have been a great supporter of this, and so you have caught the vision and understand what this means, and that it's good ground, and that you're not just sowing into something. You're sowing into somebody's life's purpose, the reason that they are motivated and energized to get up on a daily basis. Do you have anything?
So I'm looking at my calendar from this week to the beginning of January. It's 9 weeks. So we have 9 weeks. If what we thought was $3,000, $4,000, and it's literally half of that, then I know we can come up with $1,600 in 9 weeks. I was trying to calculate, but it's not being talked. So, but it can be done. You know what I'm saying? Even with finishing JBM and 50-50, even if we have to do another fundraiser, that puts you in an overflow for, the next volumes to come and everything else that's going on this summer. But to me, it's like, if a person doesn't know you, I can see how they wouldn't understand, but for somebody that knows you,
yeah,
they have to understand, because it's like, since I met you, you've just been basically letting know that music is your baby. It's, it's your life. So why not help a person fulfill what have saved their life? And then he was talking about our keys, and made me think like people wouldn't understand what he heard because they haven't heard any of the songs. In order for them to hear it, we got to fulfill the fundraiser so that everybody can be blessed with the songs. Of these 2 are blessed, and we're blessed because, we know some of your music, then the whole world should be able to feel that. I think it's a few of the songs that we did at the live recording that we were just it's so in love with, and I've said this more than once, that we just can't wait for it to be released so we can sing them again. But we can't sing them until it's recorded and well until it's released. So I think that people should catch a board, and for those of you that want to be able to feel what our Keith and the other guy has felt, support the ministry. That's all I have.
And she's saying that, but the truth is, we already have 6 volumes available that you can go and listen to right here on YouTube. And so you can get a foretaste. It may not have the mix, but if you listen to the lyrics, you will be blessed. I'm not telling the choir members, but in the morning, we will be doing 4 songs from the only CD project that our church has recorded. And those are original compositions. And it even dawned on me, JaeTae, that for the concert in June, I'm racking my brain trying to think of 3 other songs when for sure I should share at least 1 or 2 J-Bass original songs that cause you to look forward to the future. We could do Greater. We could do Your Grace and Mercy, and really, having time to rehearse them, really minister them. Those are just 2. And I said, I'll look through the list and see, those 2 are Your Grace and Mercy is a groove, and Greater is slower tempo. And so maybe something up tempo, but then I still need 1 more. I would like to do something of someone else's. But just thinking of that, that's a great opportunity, since I'll be the one leading the choir for the concert, to do music that has already been released. I know that we'll be recording 4 songs from Volume 9 live, but we still have music from 6 back that can be added to this concert to let people know that I'm not just starting this. This is something that has been ongoing. And so, thank you. We've talked about the 50-50 as well. The next order of business, was there anything else before we get to the choir annual day?
If you want to support, you can Zelle 409-996-8791, and then the Cash App is $J-Bass Ministries. That's JBASSMINISTRIES. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And so we have been serving. I tell you, I'll be honest, the first word that came to my mind was toiling. But we have been serving in the kitchen today for hours, preparing food for those who will attend our church music ministry annual day, 13th music ministry annual day. And it's just something to see that we've made 13 years, because it has not been easy. It has not. And they always happen in the history, because it is part of the history, but there are times I walked away and people have said it was because of more money, but there's so much more to it when you're looking for something more. The sad thing that kind of drove me back was you move expecting more, and pretty much the same where you go. if not worse. And so I wound up back and it was like, okay, you know what? I need to be still until you really, really move me, God, and show me what's next. And what I can say is that being in Galveston County, connected to this church, in spite of, I have been blessed beyond any this there's so much about the past several years that have made this my blessed place for the time that I've been here, in spite of. And at first I couldn't see it, but there are so many factors that I now, and a little time, maybe quite some time ago, recognized that God has really blessed me here. And it's hard because you see the blessings, but you also feel, see, and experience the burdens as well. And when you've been exposed to more, your heart desires more. It is just a challenge to accept things the way they are, especially when you feel like you're doing your part to motivate those that you're around to do more. And what I noticed is a lot of individualism versus real teamwork, real group get together and get it done. That's why I appreciate JaeTae, because at least having one person to walk this out with and get things done with means a lot, because then you're doing it on your own, or it might not get done because you, for a while, I didn't do things because I'm thinking, this is not something I should do alone, or even that I want to do alone. And I know that's not good, and especially when you think of God dealing with the person with the talent who buried it and made an excuse. I want to do all. And I even think about the JaeTae, the stuff I have in totes, the dreams and goals that have been put in totes and tucked away. And I don't know who said God is going to bring all that up. And I was thinking, oh, Lord, I thank you that you're going to say prayerfully well done about getting this music done, especially since you put it on my heart that for me, that is of the utmost importance. But I do recognize that you've given me more than that. And yes, we've done other great things, but I also am aware that there has been so much written in notes. I opened a drawer in the room and just saw all kind of spirals and saw that all of them were written in. And of course, you get overwhelmed thinking, there's just no way I'm going to go through and read all of this. But if you don't, and you don't even make an attempt, it's no telling what dreams, vision, nuggets, ideas that possibly could bless us and assist us, resources and things that could help now that we're missing out on because it's put away in a drawer or a tote. And so, just thinking of those things, there's so much to our lives. And so I'm praying that one day, and of course, one day that I'll be able to really just start working on going through these things. And I always think about just having a team of people to come and help with that stuff. But I need to start on that. And then, of course, some of that stuff may be trashed. It just needs to be trashed, but I won't know if I don't go through it. And so I've gotten off, but we are celebrating 13 years. But do you want to say anything about what I've just said before I get back?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Well, no, because no.
Okay. We have made the spaghetti and green beans, and I was concerned because I want to make sure that we have more than enough. Of course, you don't want to end up wasting, but I am also concerned to make sure that we have enough to make sure everyone that attends tomorrow, especially if they take their time to get up and come to the service and support, that they receive a plate of spaghetti, green beans, preferably 2 Hawaiian rolls, a slice of cake, as a thank you and nourishment for the journey. As we cooked, we realized we purchased too much. We still had a whole pack and a half of ground meat left, and we still made 5 half pans of spaghetti. Then I was thinking, looking at, the green beans, that maybe a can and a half would fit in the half pan. But it turned out that it was 1 can per half pan. And it's half pan versus the long pan. And so we ended up with 5 half pans of green beans. And to me, what I saw, it may not be in the same regard, but I saw the type of miracle as the widow who was concerned that her sons were going to be taken and she didn't have anything to see after them. And of course, the prophet told her, asked her, what does she have in her house? Of course, we went and purchased these things and made sure it was done. But we still have more than we needed. And that just speaks volumes. Because again, we wanted to make sure we had more than enough. And I was thinking that as we were preparing for this, I was asked to share with the sister who writes the checks how to write the checks. The choir has several hundred, that we'd raised in January during a fundraiser. And so budgeting for the anniversary, I was able to budget for everything that we needed to have the anniversary be debt-free. Mm-hmm. And now that we have completed this, I realized that some of the overage that we did end up spending, that if we would have known that it wouldn't take so much, we probably would have been right at budget. If we would have bought 5 cans of green beans, bought the big long tube of ground meat, but then only got the next size down, uh, that would have made a significant difference. And so I'm grateful to God that this all worked out. One of the things that you see behind the scenes, and normally I don't get involved in this, but even according to new position of leadership, and just the fact that I was informed that there were choir members who had not registered for the annual day or given their, what do you do, dues, or it's not dues, what would you, when you give and there's a set amount for an annual day, what would that be called? Assessment. They have not given their assessment, and then to take it further, that some have not given. And, to hear that, and last year we brought in someone from Houston and paid them significant money. I didn't realize, because it was taken care of, that choir members had not done their part. And I even put in to make sure the guest clinician was taken care of. So I think if I had known that, there's no way I wouldn't have said something. And then those same choir members, and maybe others, most likely others, did not show up, get orders. That's it. Show up to help, or even get orders for the spaghetti fundraiser that we did in January. I didn't say anything. And for us to still raise so much money, I was pleased, but it could have been more if we would have all done our part. And so I'm saying this because it does convict me when I think of when I have not done my part. When I was singing in a choir, there have been times that I paid my dues and gave the assessment. But there were times I realized I didn't. And the times I didn't does, especially now being in leadership and seeing this, cause me to repent and feel a level of shame that, you think you reap what you sow, that I could possibly be reaping what I sowed because I sung in choirs and did not do my part because I didn't necessarily see the reason or need for me. And maybe sometimes I didn't have it, but that's no excuse. The difference here is I've talked to the choir members. I've done my best to stir each one up to do our part. And it's at the point where if there's not a change, there will be some changes made. Even if we only have a few singers, I'm so used to that. Or if we have to do congregational songs, I'm used to that. And so I just pray that everyone does their part. And I pray that you're hearing this, that you, especially if you are part of an organization, and especially something like a choir, where you know that the funds that are being raised, it has been made clear what these funds are for, that it will help us fund our annual day so that our church does not have to do it. We fund our annual day. And just like I said, what we raised earlier this year did it, except for the overage. And so the registration alone, because I don't think the overage was just that much that that we even have to go into the offering, that if everyone does their part to register, we should have the overage to pay to the church, along with some left over. Okay. So then there are two things that I want to take out of that, because out of the budget, I wasn't able to do some things that I thought were fair to do, but I did that because that's what fit in the budget. And I hadn't even considered the fact of the registration and then the offering. And of course, then the rest will go to the church, which will be able to be a blessing to the church for our celebrating an annual day. And so, okay, JaeTae, it's in your hands.
I don't know, like sometimes how to respond, because when I'm a part of something, I do all I can while I'm a part.
I'm a witness.
T-Lock had dues. I paid my dues with T-Lock. I bought my robe. I'm a part of a prison ministry. I pay my monthly dues with them. You know, I drive when the van for everybody when we go. When I go, well, I haven't been able to go in a few months, but when I go, so it's like people do what they want to do, and it's kind of hard. It kind of, I was thinking today, it's Saturday and we've been in the kitchen since like 12:30 or 1, and it's almost 7 o'clock. We just barely finishing, and nobody has called to say, is everything taken care of for tomorrow? Anybody need any help? But it makes you think, like, why are you a part? You know what I'm saying? Like, why stay a part of something if you're not gonna give it your all, basically? And it goes like the T-Lock, like, why are you a part of the organization? Why are you a part of the ministry if you're not gonna give your all to the ministry? But thank God for, God has given us the strength to do what we need to do. And I just, like I said on your show, I believe that God will bless us for doing above and beyond. We will reap the benefits. Amen. Because we sacrificed. Yeah. So looking forward to the benefits.
Okay, benefits.
What's to come because of sacrificing, and continuing on in spite of.
Okay.
So
the only thing I would say, in what you said is, for me, as far as I know, no one knows that we were cooking today unless you told somebody. And so I had no expectation of anyone calling or offering help. But okay, welcome back. Besides Pastor and Lady Yancy, because she's the one that was there when I went to check the deep freezer. But she's the only choir member, and so with all she has going on, I feel like in her mind we got it. We certainly don't need her help, and to be honest, we didn't. So I personally don't have a problem with that, but I do understand that you're saying we all play a part in this. It's, to me, that also speaks to the fact of what we have been discussing as far as getting the plates and everything taken care of to be ready for after church. Now, the entire music ministry will be there. So in that case, you certainly expect not to have to open your mouth and ask, but when they see that we are providing food, do you need help? Now that's a totally different situation. And that may be something that I address in my remarks as well.
Well, we talked about food at during rehearsal, during our, at the end, like we need to set this, we need to set that. And we all know when we have a guest church, that we're gonna be, but even not just with the food, just anything, is everything taken care of for tomorrow. There's other things that we both could have been doing today, So, my last sister's having a 60th birthday party today.
Oh, wow.
I missed it because I knew I had something else to do today. So comes with it.
Wow.
But I knew I had an obligation that had to come first.
What a way to prioritize. Because of course, in my mind, I'm like, you could have gone on and I done what I could. And then once you got back, if I wasn't finished, then you can just get to helping. But that's wow. Of course, I didn't know that. And so I have said more than once, and I believe I said it on the 50th episode of the JaeTae show, that in my mind and in my heart, you are the epitome of a true laborer of Christ. Someone who is faithful, who is dedicated, who is committed, and recognize that you belong to Christ. It is evident in your actions. It's evident in your movement. Not only are you faithful in these ministries, but then even in the church, to clean, to show up, to attend Sunday school and Bible study when it's in person and all of that. That says a lot. And that's why I know you don't tell me everything, but I would go to bat if I even thought somebody was saying something to you in any negative way regarding your service, because I see it. And I've said this, and I think I even said it on the show, that I see you get up early, go to work. You've been doing that for years. Only time you didn't do it is when you didn't have a job. And then you still, once you get off, get right to the ministry things that you need to do. And of course, right now with school, you're being faithful to attend to that. Your life is marred with faithfulness. And I just want to salute you. Of course, I didn't even think this would take that direction, but I just want you to know, I know if I see it, God sees it. And just like you said, I wholeheartedly believe it is going to pay off. I even believe, to an extent, it is paying off. And so I pray that you remain encouraged, because you're showing up, you're doing is such an encouragement. Okay. All right. Well, y'all, this has been a very thorough, insightful, information-filled episode of the JaeTae Show. And we are so grateful that you joined us. And especially if you made it this far, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the JaeTae Show.
God bless. Okay.